Okay, I need your help because really at the end of the day, y'all are my boss, right? I'm self-employed, but I don't have a set boss other than my audience. I post on TikTok, I post on YouTube. They're the ones who pay me, but they're not really my employer. I don't get a performance review from them. I just get absolutely crushed in the algorithm if for some reason the platform doesn't like my content. But I want to make sure that my content is for you, that y'all get a chance to give me feedback. Not that people don't freely share their opinion in the comments all of the time, but I regularly will get 4, 5, 7,000 comments on a YouTube video. Sometimes it's more than 10,000 comments a day. And I don't read all of them. I read a tiny fraction of them. And people feel free to send me all kinds of hypercritical emails to tell me what they think of me. And right, like a lot of people hate watch my content. I'm aware of that. But really what I want is for my audience to be able to give me feedback in a way where I can kind of bring together all of that data and analyze it so that I can actually make real improvements to my content on all of my platforms. So the other day when I saw a video from the Leafhopper, who by the way is one of my favorite knitwear designers, anytime there's an overlap of knitting and science, and she is not only a homeschool kid, but also an entomologist, also in Arizona, which is where I spent a little bit of my childhood, and also an amazingly talented knitter and knitwear designer. Like, her account is one of my favorite accounts. A couple of days ago, she made a video and asked her audience, hey, can you do a year-end performance review for me? I have this handy dandy Google form. Could you fill it out and give me feedback so that I am evaluated for this year? And then I kind of know what direction to move in for 2026. And I was like, that's fucking genius. That's genius. So immediately I'm like in the comments, 1, yes, I'm filling out your form immediately. But 2, can I steal this idea from you? And she very quickly responded like, please do. I wish all creators did this. I wish all creators had an organized way for their audience to give them feedback, because again, at the end of the day, we work for you. If my content is not helpful and meaningful for you, then what am I even doing here? I'm not saying that everybody's going to like everything I have to say. I'm not saying that I'm going to pander to an audience, right? That's one of the things that people get really mad at me for, is that I won't pander to an audience. I will say something that I earnestly, deeply believe in, even if it's unpopular, even if it causes people to unsubscribe from my channel. I'm not going to compromise my integrity in order to get clicks, in order to have more subscribers. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is like, okay, would you prefer to see longer form content? Do you want me in 2026 to do more like BreadTube, long video essays? Do you want more shorts? On YouTube, most of my content runs 8.5 to 9.5 minutes, and that has to do with when the ad breaks are. Your video has to be over 8 minutes in order to get a mid-roll ad break on YouTube, and that means that I get compensated more, and that YouTube then becomes a viable platform for me. So I try and keep most of my content in that sweet spot of 8.5 to 9.5 minutes. But I could make longer videos. I could make much longer videos. I just don't know if people are interested in watching long kind of BreadTube video essay deep dives from me or not. Back before I started doing TikTok and I did a lot more gardening, permaculture, design, like domestic skills videos, most of my audience would drop off after 14 minutes. So I tried to keep my videos about 20 minutes or less, right? Somewhere between 12 and 20 minutes was the length of most of my videos before now. But TikTok only lets you film up to 10 minutes. So, I'm making compromises as I'm trying to cross-post across multiple platforms. But is that something that my audience doesn't want, right? Likewise, I will yap about things that I care about. So I made a couple of videos about whaling and Indigenous rights and whaling. That's not my typical content. It is a subject that I was really interested in and spent months reading through court documents and, tribal history and things like that in order to make those videos. And I was like, I'm just gonna post this, even though it's a little bit atypical for me. Are there other subjects people would like to hear me expound on that I haven't even thought to talk about? Because those videos did really well, and I was surprised by that. So if I have more data, if I have more information, I can make more content that's meaningful to people. Let me give you a little bit better example here. So as an undergrad, I was a biology major, but my focus was really animal behavior and avian cognition. I did 2 capstones, one on avian cognition and another one on songbird migration. And I would love to nerd out on birds a little bit more. Most of my work prior to 2025 was very plant-based and was very much about holistic design and also sustainable food systems, I rarely get a nerd out on birds. And I have notes on my computer. I would love to make a deep dive video on the bird with four sexes, especially in 2025 when we're seeing MAGA be like, there's male and female. Look to nature. There's only two genders, male and female. I'm like, oh, but did you know that there's a bird with four sexes? So is that something people would want to hear me yap about? Because boy, just like say go, and I'm ready to do it in 2026. Also, should I be expanding to other platforms? Because God knows I don't have too many irons in the fire as it is. In fact, earlier this week, a year after making a Substack, I finally decided to start posting on it. I did that because I get a tremendous amount of feedback on YouTube and on Blue Sky from people who are like, where's your Substack, Angela? Where is your Substack? And I know that that's an imperfect platform. Substack has made some business choices that I don't think are tremendously great, but there's not a super great competitor. But I'm starting Substack and I hope to put out one post a week. They may or may not be in conjunction with the video topics I'm covering. We'll see. It's ever evolving. But I'm doing that specifically because my audience asked me to do it. In the past few years, especially like 2023, 2024, lots of people were like, when are you going to start a podcast with your daughters? My minor children don't really appear on camera. I don't like to use my kids for content. I'm not going to use my kids for content. There have been times when my sons will intermittently appear in a video, like in the background, or they'll come in and say something, but they're children. But my adult daughters, if they're on my channel, it's because they want to be and they have something that they want to talk about or something that they want to participate in. That's totally their choice. People love it when Ruth and Bee are on any of my videos, and people are like, when are you going to do a podcast with them? So is that really something we should try and do in 2026? I know my eldest kid is like, let's go, I'm ready. She wants to do a podcast as much as I want to talk about the birds with four sexes. So with Leafhopper's permission, I have taken their Google form and I have adapted it for myself. I asked different questions and tweaked it a bunch so that I can get your feedback, so that you can give me a performance review for 2025 and help me shape my content for 2026. The link to that Google form will appear in the bio on my TikTok and in the video description on YouTube. And I would be so grateful if you could take just a few moments and fill it out. I'm sure that people have opinions, and I'm ready to hear them. You don't have to be super nice. In fact, I ask people, what's your least favorite thing about my content? And what do you think I should do less of? I'm not saying I'm going to take everybody's advice, but I really want to know what you think. I know that as much as there is a lot of parasociality in terms of the relationship that we all have with social media creators, it still is a community and it still is a relationship. And I need and want and desire communication from y'all. And I want to be receptive to what you have to say. So I would be so grateful if you could take a few moments and fill out that Google form for me. And then maybe I'll do a video in a couple of weeks when I get all of the data in and I analyze it. I'll share with all of y'all what people had to say, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That'll probably happen in a few weeks. I'll make that video. So thank you in advance for being willing to go and give me a performance review for 2025.